Just my usual routine, I guess. So,
yeah.
what's been on your mind? Much at all?
No, I woke up this morning thinking a most peculiar thought, and that was, I wonder where my soul is located in my body. Yeah. And I gave it some thought for a few minutes. And
on the bottom of your feet?
No, I've never, maybe occasionally I've the last 70 odd years I've thought about it, but why I woke up this morning thinking about it, I don't know. Have you got any ideas where it is?
That is a good question. And it might sort of fit into a line of inquiry that I was working on over the weekend, maybe. Because I was, once again, decided to have another look at the first page of the Bible, Genesis 1.
Yeah.
And it sort of jumped off the page at me a bit. And I had a bit of a prompt too, of course, but it jumped off the page at me a bit when it talks about it talks about creation in a broad sense, but it kind of occurred to me, to use modern day language, that there is life 1.0 and then life 2.0. So 1.0 is, to use some of the biblical language of, creating the human out of the earth, out of the dust, and breathing life into it. So that's like physical life, So the ruach goes into the the human made out of clay or dirt or whatever. But the interesting thing is that, and it only kind of just occurred to me on Sunday, but there's also a life 2.0.
Okay.
And the life 2.0 is like in the garden where the invitation was to eat of the tree of life. And it was reinforced for me because I think there's also death 1.0 and death 2.0.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that when they ate of the tree of knowing of good and evil, they died, but not physically. Yeah. So they died from life 2.0. And then the consequence of that death was, exile from the garden and so on and so on. But then it's sort of like I just sort of sat with that and pondered that a bit. So tonight when you ask, okay, well, where is the soul? I kind of think it has a lot to do with life 2.0 rather than life 1.0.
Okay, explain.
Well, I think it, the various conversations that you and I have had about the soul and what is it and how does it operate and so on. I think it's more of the divine realm than it is of the physical realm. And that life 2.0 is divine life. So I think when you say where does it reside in your body, well, it kind of depends on whether you're in, and I haven't found a really good word for it yet, but so I said, whether you're in fellowship with God, whether you're in a position where you've got no obstacles between you and the divine. And that's when I think the soul blossoms and is the light within and that type of thing. And I've only come to that language in the last 60 seconds too, by the way, so I haven't given it a lot of thought in that sense. But it was just followed on hard on the heels of what I was thinking about over the weekend. That was all.
Yeah, I understand what you are saying, but it doesn't answer my question that I woke up with. Where physically is the spiritual soul located within your physical body? Because it has to be attached to you, because you are soul.
So it's attached to the I am.
No. No, no.
I am now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's not physical.
Well, it encompasses physical, doesn't it?
So, is it part? Well, what you're saying? The only thing I can think of to, not that I agree with you, but I think that what you're saying would be.
It's hard to disagree, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in every cell of the body. Okay, and
Well, let me sort of ask you this: do you have a sense that the soul is of the realm of energy, or do you think it does have a physicality to it?
Yeah, well, we've agreed historically that everything is energy, okay? There is only energy, okay? And it's just different forms of energy, okay? So, being that as it may, okay, if our physical body has a certain let's call it a low frequency, and the connection to the divine has that connection has a much higher, but within one, entrapped within one, is the soul energy, and how come is it entrapped? Why is it entrapped? And where is it entrapped? And
it's a little bit like your breath, though, isn't it? Like when you've got that ruach in you, you've got that divine breath, that inhale, exhale, which at one sense seems incredibly robust, but at the other sense, it's incredibly fragile.
So you're saying that the soul has no pinpointed location within the physical body?
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling with it a bit, because like if it was in a physical location and that part of the physicality was damaged, for example, or removed, does that mean that you're soulless?
Yeah, it's a good thought. That you see, they are certainly, from my general knowledge, you take the nervous system, the energy nervous system, okay, that has an influence on things which, let's call them just a little abstract for now. They're not physical. They're not coming from a physical location like the brain. So they seem to be coming from an aspect that doesn't die when you die, but does die eventually. Maybe it dies at 2.0 death, okay, at a later stage, okay. But then also, from my interest and historical research and writing, the pineal gland is connected to, and it does have this reputation of being called the third eye, okay, that sees backwards into the spirit realms, okay, and it's also connected to all sorts of energies that get produced, like the happy energy, and those sort of energies that we look at and say, well, if I eat this, then I feel happy. So, and the opposite. So there's some sort of historical, spiritual connection with the third eye and God, divinity. So I would, from my guess, I would guess it's somehow, obviously, as you've mentioned, it's connected. It's in another dimension, but for some reason, it gets implanted in us, the soul.
I suppose the other context too is that where does the physicality start and where does it end? I mean, does it end at your skin, or are there physical elements beyond your skin that are still in the physical realm, so to speak?
I would agree with that. It's a very good question. And I think that, you know, what you can see is not even the totality of your physical body. Okay, because dogs can see more than we can see. Okay, so, and the same goes with hearing. Okay,
and smell.
Yeah. So, no, I agree with you. The skin isn't what you perceive as the edge of your body. Is not. So, yeah, it's interesting because I've read through my various spiritual teachings over the years that the physical domain sort of ends with your subconscious mind. Okay. But then there's an overlap between that subconscious realm and the first of the spiritual realms. So I don't know where the physical ends and where the spiritual begins. There's an overlap. And having said that, I am of the notion that the soul is an absolute direct link and a portion of God. Okay, so does it exist in all these other, like the subconscious and then I think I guess it comes from God, then it must have, okay, all these different links. So, but it doesn't have finally any physicality in it at a certain stage in evolution, but certainly.
It's kind of like when you hear or read a statement that, you know, that the spirit is working within you.
Yeah.
So working in what way? Like, you know, so it's yeah, I think it has to take you into lots of areas other than just what we perceive to be the physical.
Or we really just have created this similarity between the various physical levels and the various spiritual levels.
Well, it's definitely a mystery. There's no doubt about that. I mean, even people far more learned than me, like Paul. You know, I get fascinated by his writings, but even he, at a couple of occasions, just throws his arms in the air and says, "I don't know, it's a mystery." So, I've thought about it, and no, I just can't work it out.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem, is thinking about it.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's probably not a thinking thing. Yeah.
And
it's like trying to cook spaghetti by looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I can't even cook it properly on a stove. Talking about cooking, I got so fed up with myself a few days ago because since I've been in Australia, I've never been able to cook rice properly, where it is, nice and dry and fluffy and tasty. Well, the tasty will come from what I put in it, but it's always got a little bit of mushiness about it. Okay, like it's still damp. Okay, and time again, I've tried to leave it cooking a little bit longer, keep the heat on, and then it burns the bottom of the pot. Can you cook rice?
In a rice cooker.
That's what I went and bought myself 2 days ago. And then I just came across it. You can't believe how these coincidences, well, you can. These coincidences work. I mean, they're just amazing. I was really getting frustrated. And I asked Sue at the time, no, she said, the way I cook rice, said, and it really does work, is I cook it, and when it's still hot and moist, I wrap the pot in a blanket, and I take it off the stove and I put it down, and I just leave it. Okay, it doesn't matter how long. And when I open it up, it's dry, and so.
I guess that makes sense because it sort of cools down slowly, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, she's convinced. Well, she does. She teaches it, or she taught it in South Africa to some of the very disadvantaged people that she taught, and that's what she taught everybody to do. And when she was with me, she used to make the rice. I never really bothered about it. But she can't do it here. She says she can't get her rice also right here.
And is that because it's like a different type of rice, or?
Yeah. Obviously, I would say it's logical to think it's a different. White rice isn't white rice. Okay, I'm sure it changes in different parts of the world wherever they grow it. And
well, even when you just think about like different cuisines, like if you have a Chinese sort of style meal, it seems to be a different style of rice than if you eat, say, East Indian food, which seems to be a longer grain rice,
Yeah,
and the rice grains seem to be more individual rather than clumped together, So.
Yeah, and then there's what's it called, the Basmati rice or something similar like.
Not sure.
Yeah, that is already, I think it's par cooked when you buy it as raw rice, and so yeah. But anyway, I've bought.
So has it worked for you, or you haven't done it yet?
But it hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
The pot hasn't arrived yet, and it's only due to arrive in I don't know, a week or two's time. It comes from, I think it's your side of the country.
Oh, yeah, it takes a long time to get over there, doesn't it?
Yeah, unless it's coming from the northern hemisphere somewhere. But I got Sue to buy it because she gets a free delivery with her orders, and so yeah. So I don't know when it's actually coming. But I'll let you know. You say you've got a rice pot. What's it different from an ordinary pot? How's it different?
Oh, it's got it's a bit like a slow cooker type thing. It's sort of got a like a ceramic or pottery sort of interior with the glazing on it. And yeah, and like with the timer and all the stuff on it, it just does what it does, and then you get perfectly cooked rice at the end of it. So.
Okay, is there nothing other than the coating of the pot? Is there nothing inside the pot that makes it a rice pot? I mean,
no, I think it's just how the temperature is regulated, and that's so.
Okay.
I think it might sort of almost go like through a cooking cycle, where it boils it quite rigorously for a while, and then it goes down to a simmer, and then it just sits. And
what changes the temperature in the pot?
The cooker.
That's a rip-off. I mean, even a cooker. How does it? I mean, you put it on the stove, so the stove's a cooker.
Oh no, this one you plug it in. Yeah.
Oh, you plug it in. Okay. Sue bought it. So I didn't see it. In fact, okay, that makes sense. All right, so it's actually a cooker itself. So it's a rice cooker, not a rice pot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to do proper rice again. Do you eat much rice?
Yeah, every week.
Is it? And a reason?
I enjoy it.
Okay. And is your rice pot, doesn't matter what you put in it, whether you put brown rice in or
whatever you want to do. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much just have well, I don't know what sort of rice it is, just the white rice usually. But sometimes I might use like a jasmine rice or whatever. But I think that might have an additive in it, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not sure.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you eat with your rice?
If I'm just having a snack, I'll just sometimes just put like a bit of sweet and sour sauce over it, or I'll make an omelette and chop it up and just stir that through it.
Okay, egg and rice. Yeah.
Yeah. But other times I just have like an Asian meal.
Like an Asian meal.
Yeah, like a. I don't mind like some of the Thai curries, like a chicken Thai curry and rice, or occasionally sweet and sour.
You put a stock in it, in other words. You put a chicken stock in it, or a.
No, normally I just make a like if it's a meat dish, like a Thai chicken curry or something, and then I just sort of serve that onto a base of rice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because there's like in most things, but rice does have certain nutrients which are beneficial.
Well, it's like a grass, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So yeah, I want to,
probably be one of the most widely eaten grains around, I guess, wouldn't it, rice?
Yeah, I guess so. The sheer numbers of people, in the East, in China,
and I guess it's. I mean, I don't know, but I'm guessing it's relatively easy to grow and harvest, and
yeah.
I don't know. Do they still grow it in paddy fields? I don't know. I guess they do.
I think so. I've only ever seen it grown on the mountainsides in paddy fields, and yeah, lots and lots of water.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How are your roses going, right?
No, I haven't planted any more roses.
I bought one on the weekend. I bought myself an English rose. So.
Oh, did you? Oh, well done. Okay. Has it got a scent?
I don't know. It's just a cutting sort of thing. You just buy it, and it's just like a couple of stalks in a plastic bag that's sort of wrapped in.
Oh, I see.
Like mulch and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
So I'll see how it grows. But I was fascinated. It had a copyright notice on the rose, like on the packaging, which said that it was illegal to propagate from the cutting that you've just bought because it's copyright.
Well, I have never seen that before.
Neither have I.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not too sure how they. Well, I suppose it's more aimed at commercial people buying one and propagating thousands from it and selling it, I guess. But
yeah.
But I guess that's because, well, my guess and assumption is that some of those flowers, I guess they propagate them over years and years to get them into certain perfumes or look.
Yeah.
Yes. So, But yeah, I've never seen a copyright notice on a plant before.
It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, you talk about other things that we are familiar with that are copyrighted.
Yeah.
But never thought of a plant.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. Where did you buy it from, Bunnings or from a nursery?
Yeah, no, just Bunnings. Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like you've just described. The roses I bought from Bunnings, which haven't been all of them, but they're always in pots.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of nurseries around who sell them in pots. But no, it was sort of an impulse buy. I just saw them and I thought, I've been thinking about that, so I'll just do that.
I'm just going to have a look because it's that time of the year. Did Bunnings have a lot?
Yeah, they were like just stacked up on this big sort of trolley, like a wire trolley, and they're sort of like a tubular thing about, I don't know, probably about 30 centimeters tall.
Oh, as tall as that.
So it was really like just the root ball and a couple of. It didn't have any leaves on it or anything.
Yeah. Which now also reminds me, I need to trim the ones that I've got.
Yeah, I get the impression they need to be pruned basically every year, do they? Or?
Yeah, and usually sort of, I always sort of use July as the point, and so I'm thinking that now that we're into July, it's.
And is that with a view that they flower in springtime, or?
Well, no, the others, the ones I've got, although not particularly well positioned as far as sun is concerned, they flower obviously in spring, but they also flower well into summer.
And do they like a lot of sun? Do they?
Yeah, they do, and I guess mine don't get. Well, except for the one does over there. The one gets summer sort of right throughout the day in summertime, and no sun in winter. But up against the fence here, they don't get probably just get a few hours in summer of sun and no sun in winter.
Okay.
So they tend to flower. They both tend to flower, right through summer.
And do you need to fertilize them regularly, or just mulch?
Yeah, I'm a great mulcher, and they seem to be. Although, having said that, for the first time, the end of this last summer, two appear to have died. Okay. But anyway, it's I do know. That's why I'm repositioning them. I'm going to make the garden focused on the roses, so that they're going to get sun sort of at least just about the whole of summer, and if they're not getting direct sun, they'll get very close to it. And,
do they tend to thrive in pots at all, or do they prefer to be in the ground?
I've only got one in ground, and all the rest are in pots. And no, that's a lie. God, I forgot about these. I've transplanted these about 2 years ago. No, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 in the ground in the front, of which I think 2 have died. But then I've got 3 in pots, and the pots have thrived. Okay.
Because you have quite a sandy soil over there too, don't you?
Yeah, historically, in our garden, well, the whole of Western Australia, yes, but because now for 6 years, I've been mulching. I started off with a bit of manure throughout the garden as well, and it seems to have, settled down very well, and so I think it's getting all its nutrients from the mulch, and and also the wildlife, it comes in here a lot. So I guess there's a lot of manure naturally coming from birds and bandicoots and rats and other things. Yeah, even as we're talking, I see 2 rats running around. So yeah, but I think one just got to keep adding. You've got to, because the plants are extracting things, and where possible, if other than roses that have got thorns on them, if they don't have thorns on, then like the other things that I trim, I just basically chop them up into fine and just drop them on the ground. About 3 or 4 years ago, I probably must have mentioned it to you at the time, I bought myself a sort of a composting machine. Okay?
Oh, yep, yeah, like a drum.
A drum, yeah.
It
has to sit in the sun, and and it's rather big. And I bought it and I tried it, and I just gave up afterwards. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so I put it out for collection, and somebody in the area collected it, and so somebody's getting the benefit of it. And what I used to do as well, with that, I had what they call a kitchen composting bin. Okay, and I used that a lot, and then from there I put it into the drum. And then when I got rid of the drum, I kept the kitchen for a while, and then I would, because from Bunnings you get like a little powder you sprinkle on it to help it decompose a lot quicker, or decompose a lot quicker, and then I would, put it in the garden. But
I had a worm farm going for a while. I was thinking about reactivating that as well, so.
That's a good. I also had one here in Australia. Okay. Also had a worm farm, and I think that's. I'm glad you reminded me about that. I totally forgotten about that. Yeah.
Because I know that when I was growing some vegetables and I had the worm farm, like the liquid, I think they call it tea, don't they?
That's right. Yes, they do.
The plants just love it.
Absolutely. Yes, I remember that. Can't remember why I stopped. Yeah. Guess might have been my mood.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I mean, the one that I've got, it's round, but it's got like, I think 3 levels. Pardon me, 3 levels in it. And eventually fills up. You have to empty it out. So it could be just the maintenance of it, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. The worms get through the garbage quickly. Eh?
Oh, yeah, they have a voracious appetite. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think even the castings are of value, aren't they? You know, that the castings you can put into the garden as well, and there's a lot of value with it as well, I think.
Mm, mm. Yeah, it's interesting. It's just I don't know if you guys are as cold as we are over here and wet.
It's been very wet. It's still raining tonight, actually.
Yeah, it's still raining. It drizzles. Thank God it's not sort of not deluge. It's no flooding. It's just constant.
No, it's just light rain. Yeah. I mean, this morning was nice. I mean, we got out for our walk in the morning and got back home around about 6 a.m. and then this big fog settled in, you know, just at sunrise.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it rained right throughout the night here and right through the morning. And although it's still heavily clouded now, there's no rain at the moment, but everything is wet.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because normally winters are quite dry here.
On your side, yeah.
Mm.
Well, this is our rainfall season on this side of the land. Yeah. Talking about this side of the land, just recently, and I suppose it shows in the afternoon. It must be around about this time in the afternoon. There's on Channel 2. What's that? The ABC or CCN? I don't know what's on Channel 2. There is really been an interesting program. Really fascinated by it. The guy that I'll tell you about it in a minute, but I'm trying to think of the guy's name. It's Dr. somebody that runs or used to have a program where he was a doctor, and always angry doctor and fed up, and these people used to come to him in his village.
Oh, I know the one you mean. Yeah, it's an English program, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. What is his name, man? I've been watching him now for days. Clue.
That's the actor, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's yeah. Anyway, I might think of it as I'm telling you now. The program is I've been following him. He's been going along the sort of not the east coast of Australia, but the islands on the east of the coast of Eastern Australia, and he goes and he discovers some amazing islands where the indigenous people are. I mean, some of the islands just they don't have an airport, they don't have a harbour, okay, so they don't get to see many people, okay, and but obviously people arrive there, however they are. Like he arrived there, he there by boat and then paddled in or something, and with his film crew, and going through the islands, the animals in the islands and the birds in the island, and then the indigenous beliefs within that island that are strong, and how they remember their history. And some of them have never been colonized, others have, and it's just the type of sports that the people play for fun and so on. It just covers everything, okay. And Yeah, yeah, it's really an interesting program. He's now moved up on the programs. That is, what's that that island that's the furthest probably east and off the beaten track? Starts with an M. Is it Maradi? Maradi? Something like that. And
Manus? Is it Manus Island? No?
yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay. You know much about it?
I mean, that's where they've been housing the refugees and stuff, wasn't it? Up there, they had a detention facility up there or something.
No, no, it's not as close as that.
Okay.
No, this is halfway to America.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
It starts with an M, and but anyway, really, it's just so fascinating to meet people who just hadn't got mixed up in our world, okay? And yeah, goodness me. Anyway, and I think yesterday they'd come across now to that island that the Japs used to have their prisoners on here, sort of north of Australia. And that was interesting seeing that. And also, you know, he touched on some of the history of the Japs on that island, because they brought a lot of people in, and they built a lot to be able to try and cut off Australia from America. Okay. And but if the British bombed them and Australians intensively, that they eventually went underground, and they got the prisoner of war and the locals to dig into the hillside and create tunnels and places to sleep and live, and to avoid the regular bombing. But out of that came something. Now, I knew the Japanese were always, they were really, really cruel. Okay, that we know from our history. But there you see physically, okay, where there's a wall, probably, I don't know, maybe 4 foot high or 5 foot high, that it was a wall with a little curvature and then a sort of drain. And any bad behavior, okay, people used to be executed there, okay. They used to chop off their heads, okay. And they stood there, the heads rolled over there, and then the blood over there, okay. And they showed us this place. I had no idea to think that that's still been, it was during our lifetime, okay. Well, not during our lifetime. I suppose it was just before. No, you probably were around then. You're about 90 now. Yeah.
Yeah, better. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's strange. It's just, I don't know. When you see things like that, have things changed? Yes, because people don't cut off people's heads at them anymore. Okay, but some parts of the world you still get executed. Okay. I mean, is murdering somebody by cutting their head off or electrocuting them, is there a difference? Is the one more humane to kill somebody else? I mean, it's disgusting to think about it, okay? And what are the consequences to the executioners of taking somebody else's life?
Or even the soldiers, for that matter.
Yeah, yeah. It's really, this program really, got me thinking about those sort of things and watching him. And he's such a pleasant guy, and he's got a really good laugh and a good smiling face. When you watch him on the British program, he's always got a crunched up face on his face, but nothing like that in reality. And he gets to travel with this program in unbelievable places. And he came across one of the series of programs before he went back to Northern Australia, or north of Australia. He went through the Western Australian islands.
Oh, okay.
We've got a lot of islands around here, okay?
There are, aren't there? Yeah.
They're the popular ones. We all know the popular ones. But goodness me, there's so many others. But I suppose, I wasn't born and bred and educated here, so.
It's funny you say that though, because like even in what they call Moreton Bay, which is just like the bay, at the, adjacent to where I am, and it's quite a big bay. Like it spans, I don't know, probably several hundred kilometres, I guess, in terms of width or whatever.
Yeah.
But there would be, I don't know, a couple of dozen islands in there.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And one of them, like from the early settlement days, was a leper colony.
Okay.
So all sorts of islands. Yeah. In fact, there's an island just off from where I am, and it's like probably a 15-minute ferry ride. Maybe not even that. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But a lot of them are sort of, were inhabited by indigenous populations.
Yeah, soon I want to go to Rottnest Island, which is the most common.
Because how long does it take to get there? Was it an hour or something? Or I can't remember.
It could be. It's certainly not more than an hour. You slip over by. They have regular boat trips.
Like water taxis and that.
Yeah. But there are others here that so Rottnest is, would be the number one first. Okay, it's the most popular and it's a quick one. And
it's sort of fascinating though, isn't it? You think about all the wildlife on these islands and that. You think, how on earth did they get there?
Yeah. I agree. But I mean, even if you take some like the continent of Australia or the island of Australia, and how many absolutely unique species of animal there are here that you just not found anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. That does make you think and speculate. Okay. So it never was sort of, one talks about, America and Africa were once one land mass. Okay. And so you get similar animals. But it looks like Australia was never part of, it might have been much larger or bigger, but was never part of another landmass that's broken away. Just based on the animals and nothing else. So unless Australia was part of the Antarctic, could have been.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. It's sort of fascinating how. Actually, one of the guys I work with, he'd just come back from a trip to New Zealand. He said down in the southern part of New Zealand and the Southern Island, there's this sort of place called Milford Sound, which is, And he said it's one of the few places in the world, like, because I think it was carved out by a glacier or something, in ancient times. So basically, you get these sort of mountains virtually just come straight out of the water, like straight up.
Yeah.
And he says one of the few places in the world where you can actually see a fault line, from two plates that comes out out of the water, and you see this fault line. He said goes just up the side of the mountain.
Goodness.
And he says it's one of the few places in the world, because a lot of those sort of fault lines tend to be, deep in the earth or under the sea.
Overlap one another. Yeah. Yeah.
He said, no, you can physically see it. This line going up the side of the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, but talking about that area and the Antarctic, it's fascinating what's underneath the ice as far as living creatures are concerned. Really amazing. They've dug down kilometers now, and there's living creatures and water at the bottom that's not frozen.
But even the oceans up there are quite prolific with life, aren't they?
Yeah. I see they've created with the technology we've got now, submarines, tourism, like cruise ships, okay? Like submarines that take, the one that I was reading about yesterday, I think, takes 24 people, okay? And it's fully air conditioned and very comfortable, and these windows everywhere. I mean, it's not like holes, but they like glass. It's from shoulder to the feet, and really fascinating. And then there are others, the submersibles that are really getting down, not tourists, not people, really getting to bottom of the deepest trenches now and see what's under there.
But even down there's life, isn't there?
Yes, there is. I'm just trying to think of the name of that trench. I can't think of it.
Marion Trench or something, isn't it?
Marion Trench, yeah, in the Bermuda Triangle.
I mean, it goes down like tens of kilometers, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and they've finally managed to get some sort of camera down, and there's life down there. Okay, no light whatsoever. Okay, but yeah. So I think
it's hard to imagine a life form down there when you think about the incredible pressure.
Yeah.
And everything, like you think, how does it even physically exist?
Yeah. So somehow it must have been created under that pressure. As opposed to swimming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
That it interests me that I enjoy particularly watching videos on it. Actually see it. When you read about it, there's a certain amount of interest, but when you actually see it, it's I really enjoy that.
No, it's fascinating.
Yeah. As much as you talk about the deepest oceans and finding out things, I also have a real interest in the deepest space as well.
Yeah.
There's been some amazing things that our various telescopes have discovered. I mean, really, there doesn't seem to be, and I guess that we can probably make a decision between us, but that there is no other civilization. There aren't any aliens that we've come across from our telescopes, and we can get into other galaxies. I mean, some of the things that NASA have put up back 40, 50 years ago, and just put them out into direct outer space, okay? And they're still communicating, okay? And there just doesn't seem to be, from a scientific point of view, from a telescope point of view, doesn't seem to be any aliens. And that goes with I think my belief system, spiritual belief system, is that we are currently, the planet Earth, and the physical dimension that's been created around it was made for a specific purpose, and the rest of the universes that we cannot see are another dimension. There are plenty of aliens. Apparently, my other belief system has that the aliens actually, they're not in this physical dimension that we're in. They're in another dimension, and I believe they're real, okay? And I believe they possibly could have the power to drop themselves lower in vibration to come into our dimension. The physical, we call the physical universe. So it all interests me.
No, it is. It's fascinating, and I think even just that notion, that sort of conceptual thing about living in other dimensions and so on, is an important thing to explore, to contemplate too, because like if science fiction or Hollywood would have us believe that life can only exist in this dimension, so But as remember, like the old, not that old, but the cosmologist Carl Sagan always used to say, he says, our inability to find alien life doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, though,
But I think within our conversation today, I think it definitely does not exist in the physical domain. Okay. At whatever this vibration or frequency that this universe and the Milky Way and all the other universes that sort of endlessly go out there that are on a physical domain, we are the only living species. Okay. But there are just as many other universes at a different and definitely they're living there. So I think those other species are waiting for this dimension to experience Armageddon. I think
or to grow up,
yes, and move on and join them. You see,
yeah. Hurry up and grow up.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. They're probably watching us, in a really weird way, thinking, God,
slap their foreheads. Oh, not again.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor souls. Poor souls. Anyway, let's cut it off there.
Very good.
Nonsense.
Okay, then. Well, look forward to catching up next week.
Yeah, that's great. Don, thanks again. I really appreciate it. Okay.
No, good, mate. Okay, talk soon. Okay, bye.